Today, I want to talk to you about two different mountains and read you three verses from Exodus chapter 19. Here we go. Exodus chapter 19, verses 16, 17, and 18, where we read this. Then it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunderings and lightnings and a thick cloud on the mountain. And the sound of the trumpet was very loud, so that all the people who were in the camp trembled. And Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai was completely in smoke because the Lord descended upon it in fire. Its smoke ascended greatly like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked greatly. Again, that's Exodus chapter 19, verses 16 through 18. The people of God came out of Egypt, but had not yet come into the promised land. On their way there, God led them to Mount Sinai, where they spent a whole year receiving God's law and the plans for a special place of meeting with God. When the Lord appeared to the people from Mount Sinai, it wasn't a pleasant or easy experience for God's people. The text describes what they saw and felt: thunder, lightning, thick smoke around the mountain, earthquakes, and an eerie sound of an heavenly trumpet. All this made the people tremble and fear at the holy, awesome presence of God. Today, some people feel that we need to get more of the thunder, fire, and trembling of Mount Sinai into people as a way of keeping them from sin. But I want you to notice this. All the fear and trembling of Exodus chapter 19 didn't keep the people of Israel from sin. Not even 40 days from this, many of the same people who trembled at God's holy presence, well, they had a drunken, immoral party around a golden calf, and they praised that golden calf as the God that brought them out of Egypt. One commentator wrote about this, and he said, "Awe is one thing, the submission of the will is another." Israel had plenty of awe, at least in Exodus chapter 19, but they didn't have much submission of their will. The New Testament compares the fiery, quaking Mount Sinai of Exodus 19 to a different mountain, Mount Zion, which is also known as Jerusalem. That's where Jesus died for our sins and rose again to give us new life. Hebrews chapter 12, starting at verse 18, clearly tells us that we have come to a different mountain, that our salvation and relationship with God is centered at Mount Zion, not Mount Sinai. The writer to the Hebrews makes these comparisons. He says, Sinai speaks of fear and terror, but Zion, Jerusalem, that speaks of love and forgiveness. Sinai is in a dry desert, but Zion, that's the city of the living God. Sinai, with all its fear and power, is earthly, but Zion, or again Jerusalem, is heavenly and spiritual. Moses alone met God at Sinai, but at Zion, there is an innumerable company, a general assembly who gets to meet with God. At Sinai, Moses is the mediator, but at Zion, Jesus is the mediator. Sinai produced an old covenant that was ratified by the blood of animals, but Zion has a new covenant ratified by the blood of God's precious Son. Sinai was all about barriers and exclusion, but Zion, it's all about invitation. You see, at the end of it all, Sinai is all about law. Zion is about grace. Now, the application from Hebrews chapter 12 is plain. We shouldn't come to God under the new covenant, that's pictured by Mount Zion or Jerusalem, as if we were coming to God under the old covenant, pictured by Mount Sinai. In Exodus chapter 19, none of God's people could come to Sinai with bold, confident expectation. You see, Sinai was all about fear and boundaries. But since we come to Zion instead of Sinai, put away your hesitation and get bold in coming to God. The sacrifice of Jesus Christ upon a cross, which happened at Jerusalem, Zion, that paves the way for you to have a bold approach before God. Enjoy that today.